Welcome to my home.
Hey, thanks, Chuck.
Yeah.
Glad to be here with you at Cake Magazine in quarantine. So, Chuck, let me just see here. We're a few months into this pandemic. The ophthalmology industry clearly has been impacted. Um, are you starting to find things normalize in certain markets? For example, we heard a little bit about the Chinese market and Allergan recently. How's that going?
It's hard to say right now. I mean, we're starting to see certain markets that are releasing some of the quarantine scenarios. We're,
Yeah,
we're starting to see some clinics starting to open around the world, but for the most part, in most markets around the world, ophthalmology clinics are still closed and they're only seeing patients on an emergency basis. So I think I can't say we're starting to see the end of this scenario happen or play out, or the light at the end of the tunnel, however you want to say it. But the reality right now is I think it's hard to say, and we're just trying not to speculate too much in regards to what markets will do around the world.
yeah. Well, it seemed like from the different executives and ophthalmologists I've talked to here on this channel that the retina and glaucoma segments seem to be coming back first because they're sort of the necessary segments in our field. Um, do you think that that's accurate?
Yeah, and of course, those are two areas where you have to see patients face to face. It's difficult because of the diagnostics with both glaucoma and retina to not see these patients. And
Yeah,
in certain retina diseases, if you miss a few injections, then it could be detrimental.
right.
So it makes sense for those to start early, and those are also areas that you really can't do telemedicine as well as maybe some other areas in ophthalmology. But
Okay.
again, patients from our perspective, because Matt, that were, Allergan's in both retina, glaucoma, and ocular surface diseases. So we try to
Hmm.
monitor all three of those areas pretty closely. And we're seeing that patients that are existing glaucoma patients continue to get their drops and take their drops. That doesn't seem to be impaired. But with retina, we are seeing patients that are delaying their injections, which is not a good thing.
Yeah.
So the sooner the retina clinics can get back, and get these patients injections when they need them, I think that would be better off for all patients.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wonder what a pandemic does on issues of compliance, because in the old days, it would be for things like glaucoma,
Yeah.
if patients don't see progression of their disease, they may not realize how important it is to keep putting those drops in. But I wonder if almost, now that times are concerning, whether that might, when the opportunity presents, to keep on taking those meds. So perhaps it will impact compliance in a favorable way eventually.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And I think that, patients right now, I think that they're very conscious, especially glaucoma patients, to take their medication because they know that it is challenging to get back to your ophthalmologist.
Yeah,
So you might see compliance going up, but you're right on the retina end is there's nothing a patient can do if they need an injection. They have to go to clinic and get that injection. So, and I know right now you can see the companies are working on products that are more durable, longer
hmm,
lasting. And I think that, after this pandemic and we get into 2021, 22, I think products like that are going to be even more important in ophthalmology, because, you know, hopefully this won't happen again,
yeah.
but there's are situations where, patients simply can't get to clinic, and to have something that lasts a bit longer would be very beneficial for an ophthalmology patient.
Does that seem to have implications for something like Sen, which would be a stent? And, I suppose that you wouldn't have to take drops often. And so, therefore, if you ran out of drops, it wouldn't be a big deal. I just wonder if Sen might be a good product for the future because of that reason.
Yeah, and Zen's a great example. The challenge right now with Zen is it's a surgical application, so patients aren't in getting surgery.
Yeah,
But obviously, patients that had a Zen implant, prior to this, possibly won't have to go back for the long period of time as compared to taking drops.
right. So
So
maybe with this in mind, in the future, patients would think, I remember that time in quarantine, and this would be long lasting, and therefore maybe I'll be into it.
yeah, yeah, and that's a good example. But I think that there are examples, in retina, there are examples that will be coming in the future. And I think this is something that maybe companies like Allergan will have a stronger focus on products that will, I guess, lessen the burden. That's probably a
Yeah.
good term to use with this. And, again, this is a situation that we haven't faced in the past, and hopefully we won't again in the future, but I think it will still be on everybody's mind.
Well, it seems like this, we saw something like this 100 years ago, or humanity has
Yeah,
at least. And
yeah.
so it's interesting to think, well, is this going to change human behavior if it doesn't happen for another 100 years? I guess to some extent, but I wonder how long, that change in behavior would last, possibly permanently.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. We're somewhat reactive right now during this pandemic, and then as we get into 2021, I think we'll look back and say, well, what could have we done better?
Yeah,
Maybe when it comes to drug development, a decade before 2021, what could we have done to anticipate situations like this? So I think that there will be change, and specifically in drug development. But I think the other area that you'll probably see changes is in areas like telemedicine
yeah,
or using more virtual platforms, trying to look at ways where you can reach out to, the ophthalmologist or even the patients, and it wouldn't be face to face; it'd be more of a virtual scenario. So telemedicine and some of these other things that people are thinking about today, give us time to develop that and then see what happens in 2021, 22, and beyond.
just a little bit more on the China launch of Zen.
Yeah.
What is exciting to you about launching a product like that into the Chinese market?
Well, I mean, China is a very important market in ophthalmology. It's a growing market. I mean, the challenge this year, of course, is the situation that we're in right now.
Right.
So, you know, once we get through this, I think that it will, in 2021, it's probably a better time to talk about Zen in China. I mean, right now, our focus is really, trying to support the ophthalmology community in China with donations, with supporting
Right.
meetings, with, education, and, really Allergan is a company within the eye care space. We've really kind of stepped away a little bit from focusing on products
Uh-huh.
and really changed our focus to really looking at what we can do for our customers in this trying time. So, you know, donations and a lot of the things that we've done in China really have related to that.
Mm.
And then once we get into 21 and we get beyond this a little bit, I think then we'll refocus back on our portfolio of products. And to your point earlier, a product like Zen will help patients actually see their ophthalmologist less, so they'll keep at a clinic less. But I think right now with the focus right now with Allergan is more helping our customers.
Back in India at the AIOS, it did seem like you were focusing on some more corporate social responsibility initiatives.
Mhm.
Does that then carry over to a show like the WOC?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it will continue that. And right now it's been escalated because of the current situation that we're in, but we'll definitely continue that. And you'll see more at the WOC.